Right. Do you want me to start or should we wait?
No, you can start.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Another wonderful, exciting Secretary's presentation. It's rather long. I'm going to go quite quickly, I hope, but it's intended to be an opportunity for everyone to share experiences, guide new secretaries, let off steam if you want to, and hopefully take away some new information. No breakout groups or exercises, and club secretaries are vital for the smooth running of the club, and they often stay in post for many years. Okay, I can still hear more people coming in. The goals of this presentation are to highlight key tasks and information for club secretaries and to provide an update on changes that are coming soon and to provide an opportunity for discussion of any issues or concerns. Club secretary skills, and they are really to help your club run smoothly through knowledge of constitutions. It's so much fun. Effective administration and good communication and a knowledge of procedures. This session is being recorded and we're going to have a little Q&A at the end. What I'd like you to do at the Q&A is if you could just raise hands and I can then take them in order, okay? Here we go again. Constitutions. So many of them. I called them all Rotary GB&I constitutional documents. Some of them are still titled RGB&I, but you know, they're the same thing. The Rotary GB&I Constitution, Rotary GB&I bylaws, Rotary GB&I standing orders, standard Rotary GB&I club constitution, that's the key one for clubs, and the standard Rotary GB&I club bylaws. Club standing orders. You also need to be aware of the RI Manual of Procedures, MOP, Code of Policies, Council on Legislation, its enactments and resolutions, meets every 3 years. Council on Resolutions meets in years between the calls. Steve Jenkins will correct me if I get any of this wrong. The standard Rotary in GB&I club constitution, generally used by district and clubs. RIBI documents take precedence. Call met last month. Call meets each year between calls. Now, standing orders, the things I actually hate. Now, they add to the higher document, which could be one of the constitutional documents. I'm going to give you an absolutely ludicrous example of a standing order, but it'll serve to highlight how they work. If a constitutional document states tea and coffee will be served at all meetings, but I might like soft drinks and I particularly like cake, you couldn't have a standing order that said soft drinks and cake will be served at all meetings, because this removes tea and coffee from the higher level. You would have to say tea, coffee, soft drinks, and that all important cake will be served at all meetings. I hope that makes sense to you. I would strongly advise against having standing orders. They tend to tie us up in all sorts of knots. Okay, key documents, compliance. The Rotary GB&I Compliance Statement Club. There's a separate compliance presentation which will cover much more of this. Rotary GB&I Equality and Diversity Policy, linked with Rotary GB&I Dignity Policy. Safeguarding policy for children. Safeguarding policy for vulnerable adults. Now, it's called vulnerable adults, and there will be much debate. We have a member in our district who tells us vulnerable adults is a no-no term. All these safeguarding policies are drawn up by our retired judge, and I'm not going to start arguing with him, but there is some debate on whether vulnerable adults is the right term or not. Rotary GB&I General Data Protection Privacy Policy Notice. Oh, there's so much, isn't there? Now, a club privacy notice must be available to view and download on the public pages of a club's website. Template is available from the District Data Protection Officer. Many external events will require a copy of our confirmation of insurance. Be aware of the dispute management procedure. Good communications and treating people properly and fairly are key to avoiding disputes. And all documents are available to download from the link. Insurance. Rotary GB&I cover is currently underwritten by Aviva, with Bartlett acting as our brokers, and they're very good. Rotary confirmation of insurance available to read and download at Rotary GB&I. Now, I'm going to quickly whiz through the insurance seminar that was given to district secretaries earlier in the year. I'm only doing it because I'm not aware that RGB&I have distributed this document, so it will form part of the recording of this presentation, so it will be there for record if anybody needs to view it. So here we go, quickly through this. There's a larger access for the use of marquees and gazebos, and do not sign any agreements with events that waive your rights. Don't let them handle claims or anything, because you'll be left dangling without any insurance cover under Rotary. It's the standard sort of thing. Everyone should be happy. Any event you participate in should be happy with the limits in this policy. The only thing I want to mention on this is keeping money at home after you've collected it at some event. There's a limit of £500, and 2 escorts are required when taking amounts between £1,000 and £5,000 to be banked. There's no cover for anything above £5,000. Now, firework displays are a particular problem. There's no cover for firework displays and bonfires. You must fill in the online quote request, even if the pyrotechnic company has its own insurance. You still need the cover offered by Rotary. There's no automatic cover for hired-in equipment, so it's very important to check first whether the company you're hiring from is covering the equipment, or if you're going to need to take out separate insurance to cover any loss, because some of these things can be very expensive. How can claims arise? Please read the guide that's available. I'll just leave that up for a few seconds so people can have a quick look. I'll just move on. Now, the problem with firework displays is a rogue firework can enter, cause all sorts of problems and result in a claim. There's one on pop-up shops. You've had a chance to read that. And this is something that many clubs get involved in. Go, carry on. Now, it's vital to have an event plan in place for any events you undertake. And the key thing is to have somebody responsible at the event in case anything occurs. Accident documentation can take many forms, and these are all the various things that you may need to have access to. If anything went wrong, then you must reassess the risks afterwards. So you'll need to do a separate risk assessment to see if lessons can be learned. If you receive a claim, don't delay. There are time limits. This is still a requirement of our insurers that we do a COVID risk assessment. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, but COVID hasn't gone away. There are some links. The St. John Ambulance England website has better initial guidance than its Welsh counterpart. So I haven't included a link for the one for Wales. This is where to go for more information. One thing to think about is portable appliance testing. There's no legal requirement to have portable appliances tested, but a whole industry has developed on it because it's considered to be good practice. And all electrical items used for rotary purposes, laptops, chargers, projectors, etc. If you go off to the WI or whatever and do a presentation and your laptop power supply catches fire and where they're meeting burns down, maybe just as well to have some PAT testing done. You might consider organising a joint testing session with neighbouring clubs, get somebody along to do PAT testing, and there will obviously be cost savings there. Coming soon is something called Rotary View. There was more information on this at the ABM this week, and a phased rollout is planned over the next Rotary year. All administration will be done in Rotary View, rather than the current system where it's a mixture of DMS and the template system. The template system will still continue, but purely as a means of producing and managing websites, and will continue to have a mandatory annual fee to Foundation. This is just from the district secretary's training. I know the numbers have increased since then, and it's going really well. It's a new means of attracting members to Rotary and a means to forming new clubs. Members are charged £10 a month to be Rotarians with all the benefits that they get from that. There are no other charges to members. Districts will receive this initial fee and will be responsible for the ongoing collection and will receive contributions from RGB&I in line with members of other district clubs. The general feeling is that £10 a month should be adequate for a Rotary club to meet its normal expenses. So that's worth thinking about. I mean, I know clubs charge all sorts of different things. They lump in meals. It's not something that's hard and fast, but certainly £10 a month should enable a club to meet all its normal obligations. The club I'm a member of charges £10 a month. District hubs, taking direct membership to a geographical area enables district communication via DMS, which we can't do unless they're part of our district, provides correct database hooks for direct members engaged in district officer roles, and, you know, district collects the membership. 67 still on there. I'm sure you'll get some more information on that at the Treasurer Seminar. And they still can connect with the wider hubs using MS Teams. I'm sure Julian can correct me if I've got anything wrong in that. So administration, gosh, so much of it. Now, you need to possess a My Rotary account, and I would hope that all the members of your clubs have My Rotary accounts, but you certainly will find it useful for preparing and briefing for meetings. You also need to deal with correspondence. Now, one interesting thing that you may not be aware of is while the treasurer pays the bills, the secretary is required to ensure that RIBI and district levies are paid on time. The annual accounts are prepared and audited ahead of the SGM, and the budget is prepared in time for presentation to a club council if you have one, then the club at the AGM. So that's down to secretaries to make sure those tasks are done. The treasurer would be expected to do those tasks, but the burden falls on you in ensuring they're done. It's necessary to issue a sort of calling notice plus the agenda in plenty of time for these meetings. And a call notice really says it's a duty for your members to attend. It's not an invitation. Regalia and insignia, new is generally required for handover and needs to be ordered in plenty of time. I would recommend March or April is a good time for that. I'm sure you all know now that the only place in the UK we can buy these from is A.W. Matthews. They have a very interesting website. It's quite challenging, but I'm sure you'll have great fun with that. And the club diary will show principal events and dates, such as DG's visits, SGM, AGM, club and district assemblies, area meetings, district council, conference, youth camps, and on and on and on. You need to manage and maintain records. You need to be the point of contact between club and district. Consider an executive secretary. It's a very posh title. And I think it's something quite posh in America. But all it means is there's someone else in your club, if you have an executive secretary, that has the same access as the club secretary to all the various systems. And some clubs split the role of secretary between the secretary and the executive secretary. So it's worth giving some thought to that. It can be quite a challenging role as club secretary. I've been one myself for a number of years in 2 clubs. And I'm glad to say I'm not a club secretary at the moment, and I'm enjoying a quieter time to concentrate on all the wonderful things we have to do in district. Now, currently, the following things must be done through DMS. That will all change. I can take out all these slides next year, I hope. Changes using any other method won't feed through to the places it needs to. And don't forget that lovely synchronize button. Club members, new, resignation, transfer, death. Please tell me as district secretary, because I don't get told otherwise. And then I can include the details in my newsletter every month. Club officers for the current year and the next year. I know it's a challenge to get club officers in lots of clubs these days, but some parts of the world still have paper directories, and if they aren't set up on time, the information won't be correct. So please ensure that before the start of the next Rotary year, which isn't that very far away, you have all your club officers listed for the next Rotary year. Club voting delegates to Rotary GB&I and annual business meeting. District council representatives. I've been banging on about this for years, I think, in my newsletters. Right, the data management system. It's the only way to add or remove a member. No automatic notification to district officers. So if you want anyone else to know, tell me, please. Current year officers, future year officers, just a screenshot. Now, district council voting representatives on DMS, just a brief thing on this. You may or may not be aware that nobody in a club has any voting rights at district council, not even your presidents, unless they have been nominated by your club as district voting reps. Only half of our clubs have recorded their district council reps, so have any voting rights at all. Please set them up. It enables me to issue the calling notices to the right people, to tell them they're required to attend. Presidents are required to attend, but without them being set up as district council voting reps, they have no voting rights. It enables the checking of the validity of registrations. And if we ever get back face to face, it enables those little voting cards that people wave to be made. And it enables checking that a meeting is quorate. If a meeting isn't quorate, it all stops. And if it's a face-to-face meeting, the district wastes an awful lot of money. So adding them, they changed the place recently, all the menus on the template system, but that's how you do it. And I've included the details in last month's Secretary's newsletter, so they should all be set up by now, but they aren't. And that's how they appear. This is one from Cardiff West for a couple of years ago. But if you want, and if you haven't got them set up correctly and you want a new one, you can only terminate a wrong one from today's date, and the new one takes place from the next day. So please do it in advance. It's simple, takes seconds, but only if you know how. It's important to keep these databases synchronized. Occasionally I send out messages to all Rotarians. I try not to. And the two issues I receive from people mailed are, I am no longer a member of Rotary, which means their club, their previous club, hasn't terminated their membership. Please do it. And the other one I get is, my name isn't correct. The easy way for me to stop that being a problem is I don't put the first name thing in. So then they can't complain about that. But obviously DMS does allow us to have a preferred name and a normal name. And not everyone is set up correctly. You need to check that the databases are synchronized, and please remove them so that DMS messages aren't sent to non-members. And you've got to do it before the 1st of July and the 1st of January. Otherwise, the half-yearly invoices issued by Rotary in GB&I and the annual amount to be paid for district subscriptions on the 1st of July will not be correct. And it can't be corrected later. And I'm sure none of you want your clubs to pay more money than they should be paying. This shows the non-synchronized thing, the little red cross. I think this is Cardiff, yeah. It's not actually not synchronized, this particular one, but it's a quick example to show the red cross. It's a class of membership. It's only used in our locality and not by RI, so can't be synchronized in this particular example. So Cardiff haven't done anything wrong. Communication. Communication, communication, communication. Major problem, district to club and vice versa. How are communications in your club? How are communications between club and district? Email from district or DMS messages? We try to keep to an absolute minimum. And as soon as I send something out, those nice people at RGB and I will send me something to say, tell your clubs immediately. So I'm awfully sorry if you get a number of these things, but we try to minimize the number of things we send. What feedback do you give or have you received from area and council meetings? Please circulate the communications from district. I get so many messages from members to say, our secretary doesn't send us anything. I can't believe it personally, but you know. Provide information back to district. I'm sure you've got lots of things you'd like to tell us. Tell us, please. We listen. Attend area meetings. If you do, report back to the club. Attend district council. Voting delegates, report back to your club. Attend district assembly. You're all here today. Report back to the club. Whether you thought it was good, bad, how it can be improved, tell us. Attend district conference. Tell the club how much fun it was. Email addresses, are they correct? People change email addresses almost as often as they change their socks. They're also used as the ID for logging into various websites, and many have changed but not updated. Some clubs are showing deceased and or resigned members and not showing new members. Synchronization is the key. Now, there's some conventions for emails. To more than one address, use the BCC field. And it doesn't really matter too much if it's internal to your club. But the problem occurs when one of your members thinks, oh, this event's brilliant, and they send it out to all their mates. And if you haven't used the BCC field, confidential information, email addresses are then sent outside of Rotary. Some people have use email addresses that are Fred and Sue, blah, 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 blah. So again, you're sending out confidential information if you do that. First line of text in the message should indicate recipients, e.g. to all presidents and secretaries. It's not much of an overhead. I get loads of things in. If that line isn't in it, I don't know if I've had it to send out, if I'm supposed to do anything with it. So please just try and put that line into things that you send, and then everybody knows. If you're using DMS, try using Dear First Name. But bear in mind what I said previously about not everyone's name is right. Okay, information not being passed on. I still get complaints that I never received that. Unbelievable, really. Deadlines get missed. And for reasons only known to DMS, messages don't arrive. I found that now I've got Rotary at stephenbrennan.org email addresses are often treated more highly as spam than .co.uk, which is my other email address. So, you know, have a look in spam occasionally. If I'm there, try and make me one of your safe recipients, and then you'll get my messages. Procedures, oh gosh, what we got on this? New member procedure. Some clubs using out-of-date proposal forms and sending out 10-day letters. 10-day letters are largely considered to be not the done thing these days. It's arguable that, you know, if we got somebody who says, I will obey all the Rotary values, I want to join Rotary, why do we put barriers in place to stop them just joining straight away? So please think about that in your club. Honorary members, see constitution and bylaws. Associate members, do you have any? What's your procedure to admit them? Transfers. Member has to resign from the existing club first, and name removed from the database. New club to add name to their database using the former member button. Resignations must be in writing to the president or secretary. Removed from the database using DMS. Terminations, Constitution Article 12, death, removed from database using DMS. All changes to membership should be emailed to me so I can let people know. Discussion of the club bylaw 12, courtesy to advise AG, required to inform DG. Enough on that. Dissolution of the club, there are set procedures. They changed last year or the year before. You are required to hold 2 meetings if sadly you need to dissolve a club. Now, transferring a member to another club, I have to say this often doesn't work. I got locked out of everything over Christmas. I lost my membership to RI and to Rotary GB and it was a lovely quiet time. I couldn't receive anything. A single club is not able to fully transfer a member. That can only be done by a district officer. For clubs, this is the process that sometimes works. The current club of the member, Club A, makes note of the leaving member's RI membership number and terminates the membership using the date of a day prior to the joining date at the new club, Club B. They use the reason of joining new club. Now keep a note on paper of the RI membership number. It's vital for when the process fails, like it does. Club A then passes the RI membership number on to Club B. Club B then adds the member in from the day after the date used in termination. It's brilliant when it works. You have to keep some records. Manage club members' data. Do this on DMS, nothing else is compliant. Maintain club, and if you have a council in your club minutes and other club documents, manage retention of records. Generally 3 to 7 years. If regarding a minor, 3 years after they reach the age of majority. The new Rotary View system is promised to have an area where clubs can retain important documents. Meetings. Area meetings could be 3 per year, open to all, not just presidents and secretaries. District Council, this is the decision-making body. It meets 3 times each year. Currently, it meets in the autumn to receive the financial statements for the previous year. This is the wrong time for that meeting, and we're going to have some discussions about that. And when council is asked to approve the district team structure for the coming Rotary year, meet in spring, where we look at the budget and dates and venue for district conference for the coming year as discussed and voted on. Summer, end of year reports. Our current schedule for DC meetings needs to be reviewed, and we're going to undertake that. Other issues are voted on as required. If not current, we're in a bit of a mess. There we go. So summary of key functions: effective and timely administration, effective and timely communications, knowledgeable on constitution and policies, knowledge on procedures. Officially, you're the secretary and the club president is the boss. But unofficially, we all know who runs the club. That's the end of my presentation, 33 minutes and 29 seconds. I'd now like to have a Q&A.